All right, team, Coach Chad here. I'm underneath the rings. Today we're going to talk very briefly. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but I just want to give you a visual of ring kip swings, okay? So this is just creating power and position on the rings. And I want you to make sure that when you're doing this exercise, you're doing it from a perspective of power versus efficiency. And I just have to have a quick understanding of that. When I mean power is, I mean you want a nice taut body, tight position, irradiating the whole body, gaining as much range of motion as possible, but it won't be the most efficient because you're going to use a lot of energy to do that. So if you were coming into a CrossFit class and said do this for 50 reps inside of an AMRAP, there'd be other ways to get this done from a standpoint of just competition and ranges of motion. But if you're training, so the difference between competing and training, I want you to maximize the position, maximize the range of motion and the understanding of the drill through tension, okay? So when you first get in here, it's very important you don't just dive right into it, okay? Now granted, I am cold right now, so I'm gonna jump up and just do a couple small swings, get myself accustomed to the rings, and then we're gonna grow that range of motion with power at the same time, okay? So when I jump up, I want to try and not just hold the rings in my fingers, I wanna hold them as deep a palm position as I can. It does not have to be a false, but it's gonna be a low palm position, okay? Give me a little bit better play on the rings. So in this case, I'm probably gonna have to jump up, probably should chalk up as well. Sorry guys. Okay, now we start off pointing the toes in hollow and move here. And again, I want you to point your toes, stay nice and tight, and going to some degree in and out of hollow and Superman as you would on a straight bar. But of course, this is a little bit different because the rings are moving, so it won't feel the same. From a thought perspective of you doing it, you're gonna think the same, but it won't be applying because in this case, the bar is static. In this case, the rings are moving, okay? Now, I'm gonna start to ramp up my intensity, and this is exactly how you should warm these up, and I'm gonna start trying to create a greater range of motion within this position. And as I do this, what I'm thinking is creating a greater range of motion on the horizontal plane by pushing the rings forward and pulling the rings backwards. This is very counterintuitive at start, but it really truly helps you understand how to create range of motion, power, and position in the rings, okay? So I'll slowly start to ramp this up. So pushing the rings forward, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling. I'm still keeping a nice tight torso as I'm moving through this, okay? So I'm learning how to create power, and I have to do that through a tight body rather than a completely loose body. So always think of keeping your feet together, toes pointed. This is very, very imperative, all right? Now, chalk up a little bit more. Now this time I'm gonna go a little bit more aggressive. So we're gonna start creating a greater range of motion. And as you get your shoulders warmed up and you feel more comfortable with the movement, you will quickly be able to create more range. And as you do that, you're gonna start to hear this rig banging and clanging pretty hard because this thing's got a little bit of give to it, and you're gonna start to hear things shaking if I have enough power going. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so here we go. So you should be able to see in that position how the back is actually more of a pull back. The forward position is a push forward. So I think of doing like Superman, driving my arms forward, creating range that way. And then as I come back, I'm coming from here, pulling, snapping my feet, and reaching back. This is what you want to start working on in this version, although there are many ways of doing the kip swing on the rings. So I hope that was helpful, team. You guys bring that to your practice and keep improving that, your body awareness, your motor control, and your understanding of this position.